If they're busy typing on a fucking keyboard, who's guarding the bridge? Really? You know, that's what I think. But I don't know. I don't know anybody who's actually got a fucking Lambo who listen to Dave Ramsey. So
speaking of Lambos, one thing
good segue, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That was totally raw too.
And you know, this kind of ties into exactly what you were saying. Just going from, you know, if you're wanting to be rich, this is how you do it, and first and foremost, this is how you've done it, right? So let's dive into that. What toys do you got? How many cars you got? Yeah, this is a good subject a lot of people like to talk about.
Yes, yeah, and I'm glad you bring it up out of me because I don't like bragging about anything, man. I came up in a way where I used to brag to be funny. People took it the wrong way, so I kind of backed off on that, and I've just kind of reshaped and rewired. I have to be humble as I can, right? In fact, the last 2 or 3 years of my lineman career, a lot of people I met towards the end of my career would thank me for being humble. I'm like, man, humble? I've never been called humble before. What the fuck is that? That's new for me. So I'm pretty humble these days, or try to be. So the Lambos, I got a Lambo Huracan, Lambo Urus, McLaren 570, Bentley Bentayga, G-Wagon G63 AMG, C63 AMG, and then my wife's Navigator and my daughter's C300. So I got a lot of cars.
Stacked driveway.
I got a fucking stack. I need a lift in my driveway. That's what I need. That'd be gangster.
And let's dive into how are you producing income through those cars? What have you seen work and what not work?
Yeah, so when I first got those cars, my goal was like an alternative investment. My goal was buy the Lambo, buy the McLaren, buy the second Lambo, buy the Bentley, and those 4 cars was going to put them out to rent in Las Vegas to produce rental income. Okay? That's what the goal. Bought them in April. They were for rent in May. So put them out to rent, and they were doing okay in Las Vegas. And I would visit Las Vegas. I had some clients there, and I would network out there. But I would be in my own Lambo. You know, I'd have fucking Colorado plates on a car in Las Vegas. People like, man, this is your car? Most people in this town are renting cars. Yeah, this is my car, dude. I didn't tell them I was renting it out, but yeah, it was fucking my car. So I built some clients there, and it worked, man. I was like, all right, cool. This is pretty neat. You know, I'd go back home to Colorado, and my cars would be rented out. I'd fly back out there, jump in my Lambo or my McLaren, and, you know, whatever. Well, then they weren't doing that good in Las Vegas anymore. So I was like, hey, let's ship them to a new company out in San Francisco. So I do that. And in San Francisco, I don't have that connection to my cars anymore because I'm not doing any business in San Fran. I don't have anybody out there. Just wasn't out there. But I recognized that, hey, man, when I was in Vegas, I had my cars, I had my connection, I had my credibility. Like, fuck, now that's gone. Like, all right, cool. Well, they're in San Fran. They're not doing that great there. I'm like, well, fuck it. Let's move them to Denver, and now I can at least drive them. Now I'm going to drive them, and I'm going to let them rent out. We're going to make it happen that way. Cool. Get them to Denver. Start renting them out. I quickly realized that there's more value in me driving that car than it was renting it out. So I stopped renting out the Huracan. I stopped renting out the 570. I find a long-term renter for the Urus and a long-term renter for the Bentley. Bam, done. Pretty cool. That's where I'm at now. And the currency really is in the networking versus the rental income. So now I have 2 supercars, 2 dream cars for 16-year-old Tony, and two dream cars for anybody, really, and they're both in my garage. And I switch off between Lambo and Huracan, or Lambo and McLaren, rather, and I get to do that. And the G-Wagon I already had, and the C63 I already had, which are equally, in their own right, dream cars for most people. Again, 16-year-old Tony telling me you're going to get an AMG C63, almost 500 horsepower, little fucking car that rips around and beats up fucking Corvettes and Mustangs. That's me, right? Love it. That's the slowest car I have now. I barely drive. I'm looking to possibly sell it, too. And the G-Wagon, same thing. You tell 16-year-old Tony they're going to get a fucking G-Wagon one day. At 16, I don't even know what a G-Wagon was, but you know, when I knew what a G-Wagon was, and he told me I was going to get one, and that's going to be my 3rd favorite car, pretty fucking cool. So ultimately, man, it's like the cars they're just tools. They're just networking tools. They're a way to make money. The commissions I've received on the people I've met because of those cars far outweighs the cost of those cars, which is really weird. It's hard to fathom that, but it's true. So that's what I see. Those cars are just tools, man. They're networking tools. They're just financial tools. Now, if you couldn't, I wouldn't recommend, because people ask me, hey, man, should I go buy a car and rent it out? I wouldn't recommend it. In fact, I wouldn't. But if I couldn't make money with them with my day job, I would have sold them a long time ago. As cool as they are, it makes no sense for me to fuck around with those cars without them making me money. And the second they stop making money, I'll get rid of them. Because they're cool, but they make me money.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And that's the one way you sort of used your money that you've saved up and made over time. How else have you utilized your money to make yourself more money, more specifically real estate?
Yep. So I had, so let's talk about window of opportunity, right? If you're going to quit your career and you want to go do something else, what do you typically need? You need some cash. You got to take some time off because you're not going to be able to make a transition. Even me, as good as I did, and to humbly brag, I've been told it's never been done before. What I did has never been done before as far as the transition I made from the career I came from to how quickly I got successful. Doesn't happen. I was told I'd have a 2-year pay cut. I believe I had a 2-year pay cut coming. I prepared for that. Back to what he was asking me about was real estate. I had 2 houses in Dallas, Texas, a house in Maine, a house in Colorado. Actually, 3 houses in Dallas. So 3 in Dallas, 1 in Maine, 1 in Colorado, rentals, plus my primary. So I sold the 3 in Dallas. Well, actually, 1 was a rent to own. 1 was two were owned. I sold those 2. And the furniture from the 3rd one. I sold those to create a window and a cushion so that I could make my career transition. And it worked. The other house in Maine, I still have it. Other house in Colorado, I still have it. They're being rented out. So yeah, I use those as tools. Again, money is just tool. So I use real estate as my primary focus of investment these days.
That's good.
Yeah.
And moving on, we had something really exciting happen this week.
Yeah.
Which I can't believe it still happened, but I was 100% grateful to be there. You attended
cool.
CU Boulder.
Yep.
And you presented to the CU football team. You spoke to them about financial literacy, how they can utilize their money and the bag they're making now.
Yep.
Dive into that.
Well, it was really cool, man. I got the opportunity because I'm not sure how much people want this story out. I mean, nothing's inaccurate, and hopefully it's all cool. But back to my cars, man. I rent out my cars long term, and the individual I rent my Lamborghini Urus out to happens to go by name Deion Sanders, Coach Prime. So it all came together. Again, luck is just opportunity and preparation, right? So I was prepared, and I was ready for this. So I also recognized the opportunity that would lead to potentially, right? And he's had my car for a long time, and this just played out. So this was a long play for sure. He's had my car all season. I want to go back to like September, I think, right? I think it was September. It's been a long fucking time he's had that car, which kudos to him, man. So Coach Prime gets my car, and there's a rental agreement in place, blah, blah, blah. Then one day I'm like, hey, you think I could talk to his team? Like, I see what Coach Prime's doing with those boys, and he's building them up, and he's building them character, and he cares about the way they present themselves and the way that they talk and act and the way they carry themselves on campus. And I think it's really cool what he's doing for those boys. I'm like, man, if he cares about that, he probably cares about those guys being financially literate too. Like, this is a big deal. It's overall good for everybody. And to have a coach that cares about those things, I'm like, he's got to care about these things too. So I extend an offer, and I'm like, hey, man, let me talk to your kids. I want to help these guys out. Like, I generally want to help them, right? Like, I'm not running a charity. I'm not doing it for free. I do stand to make money. Let's be clear about that. That goes for everybody. But at the same time, it is really important to me to help people. So, and there's different levels of money to be made. But I'm willing to help everybody at any level. So they like it. Come on in. Let's talk. Go talk to Coach. Not Coach Prime, but his assistant coach. And they love the idea. So they schedule time, come talk to some athletes. I think Coach says, hey, man, be here in this room if you want to hear some stuff. Totally voluntary. Nobody had to sit there. totally voluntary. I'll walk into a room full of 15 eager students with notepads, pen and paper, taking notes, asking questions, far more engaging than I personally ever would have been in a group setting like that. And I got engagement out of almost everybody in that classroom. And it was supposed to be for 30 minutes and went for over an hour. It was awesome. Those kids had so many questions. They already had some information. I gave them books to read. Some of those guys have already reached out to me, saying they're halfway through the first fucking book. Super cool stuff. So couldn't be happier, man. Like, to help our youth out, again, back to my initial point, like I didn't have a me coming up. I didn't have, my dad was big on pay cash for everything and blah, 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 which was fucking boring. And even as a kid, I didn't want to do that. So I didn't have somebody financially literate in my life to help me. So for me to be there for them, tell these kids about it, and they go on, and some of these guys make it to the NFL, maybe some of these guys don't, but like, to watch one of these guys go to the NFL, not blow his money, and to be richer when he gets out of the NFL would be a wild scenario that I hope I could help contribute to. And I've got some guys, I've kind of shown them a path to do that, and they're like, man, it's that easy. I'm like, yeah, dude, just don't spend all your money. Like, invest a little bit here. By the time you get done playing, this shit's waiting for you. So really excited for that. That was just like initial 15 student athletes. I think I got a bunch more to see hopefully one day. And the response has been really good so far. So really proud of that. Again, I'm not running a charity. I'm not doing it for free. I stand to make money, but I also am helping these people. And I'm really pumped for that. So that's cool. And you got to be there, film it all. And, again, you're in the room. You see opportunity, you're there. It was really cool for everybody.
Yeah, it was really eye-opening just to see, first and foremost, how much they were making. Because there's a lot of people on that football team that are making buttloads of money that I don't think people can fathom. A college student making multi-million dollars last year just for being a student athlete. Yeah. And that just shows.
Rightfully so for once. For them to finally get that, like, those college athletes have been exploited for decades. And for them finally get a bit of that, I'm super pumped for that. Like, you got to look at like what happened to Reggie Bush. His family gets, I don't even know the whole story. It was super petty. They took away his fucking Heisman Trophy. Now they're giving kids money. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's really awesome. And yeah, just to be around that type of money and that type of atmosphere, I think it was also pretty contagious.
We got that content with Shadur too, right?
Yep.
We pulled in campus looking. I was in the wrong spot looking for, and I see this other Lamborghini Urus, and I'm like, it's got to be Shadur. And I'm leaning out the window. Hey man, how's it going? You like that car? I said, your dad's got mine. He had to know. Like, he knew that his dad's renting one, so he stopped and talked for a few seconds. That's kind of cool. But cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty exciting just to see the program that they have going there. But more specifically, what I was getting at was that, like, just not only are these college athletes making a lot of money from their performance and the scholarships they're getting, et cetera, and from different brands, but it also shows the power of social media. Oh, right. Yeah. And so this is also, like, I think one of the biggest reasons why this is also starting is because the amount of reach you can have with a certain audience, if they're willing to listen, is absolutely nuts. Yep. And so that was a perfect example of how they were able to make so much money, but then to add on an extra layer to that, how can they keep that money? Yep. I think it's the biggest thing. I think that's why we're here. So we can, show and tell people, this is what they've done, this is what they haven't done, this is how they messed up, this is how they made more money, this is what you can do, and just sharing everybody's experiences. But this is going to be pretty much on every platform. It's going to be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, it's going to be on YouTube, it's going to be on TikTok, Instagram, the whole 9 yards. So
you guys are going to get tired of me one day. We're going to be out there so fucking much. You're going to hate the way I look, the way I talk. I'm going to be fucking everywhere. I'm going to be on cereal boxes. I'm going to get some Wheaties commercials. I'm going to do all kinds of cool shit. It's going to be awesome.
So how can people stay in touch with you, Anthony, and how can they stay in touch with the podcast?
Yeah, right now, easy for me is my social media, my Instagram. I really am catering to my Instagram, and like my TikTok's kind of my backup. And I shouldn't call it a backup. It's just not a platform I'm really that well versed in yet. Right now, Anthony Ficarra on Instagram. It's Anthony_Ficarra_. And then my TikTok is, I want to say it's like Slayer13 64 is my TikTok, and he'll have that on there, and we'll double check that. But I just post the same shit on my TikTok that I do on my Instagram. Some things do better at certain times, this and that, but my Instagram's where I have all my cool shit. Like, so I have all my, I go to concerts. That's one of my passions. I go see heavy metal concerts. I'll have that on there. I'll have my weightlifting things and my powerlifting shit. I'll do that on there. My cars. I'll have my cars. Posting cool videos with them. And then most importantly, the content about the finance stuff, right? Which ironically gets less views than the car shit does. It's like, this is the things I use to get these cars. Do you guys care more about the fucking cars? Which, whatever, that's fine. But it's kind of what I post on there is those 4 things: concerts, the gym, my cars, and my content. So that's the big one. And then the financial advisory podcast too. We have one of those now. Just started that one with this episode. So hope we'll be growing that out there. But again, we're gonna be just kind of collaborating and tagging everything in every platform. So
yeah, we're excited. And I think that pretty much sums up all the questions I had. And if anybody has any other questions, they can reach out to us on all of our social medias. Are there any closing statements you want to leave with everybody? Things they should be staying tuned for?
Yeah, I think if you know somebody that's made some money, at whatever level you're at, if you look up to somebody and they got more money than you, they've made some money, recommend them to be a guest on the podcast. Love to have them. I'm interested in everyone's story of how they made money, how they lost money, whatever. So if you know somebody, recommend them to us. Recommend them to me. If you need life insurance, I got you. Disability insurance, I got you. Got some other kind of health stuff too in there. A whole bunch of stuff, man. Hit me on my socials. Love to help you. That's it. That's all I got.
I think that sums it up too. So we'll be posting this tonight. Today is
Good
Friday.
Live. No edits. We got a few edits.
It's gonna come.
Allegedly.
It's gonna come out live Friday evening. So we'll post it then. And just stay tuned. Follow us. Subscribe to us. And drink some Telzone. Drink some good old coffee from Livewire. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
All right. Peace out. See you guys later.